It's the 80s Experience on FM 88.5 KSBR with J.J. Buchanan. She is one of the original members of the founding, most famous punk band to come out of Los Angeles during the 1980s, Miss Exene Cervenka.
Yeah, here I am.
Exene, how are we doing today?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's a little gloomy here, rainy, drizzly, cold. Not like the rest of the country. Can't complain. I'm in California.
So very, very true. So, Exene, take me back to the 1970s when you got together with John, Billy, and DJ. How did that all come about?
Oh, it came about pretty much like pretty fast. John met Billy within a month, I think, after moving to California from Baltimore. Billy'd been living in Hollywood for a while. And then about a month later, I met him at a poetry workshop, and he introduced me to Billy, and then we looked for a drummer. We played with a bunch of people before we found DJ. And then we found DJ, but it was pretty rapid succession of events, you know. It was 76, summer of 76 when I met John.
And how did it all come about? Did Ray Manzarek of The Doors produce the band's first album?
First four albums.
First
Ray
four
Manzarek
albums,
produced our
wow.
first four albums.
How did you guys hook up with Ray?
We met Ray Manzarek at the Whiskey, which is pretty cool, because the Doors' history at the Whiskey is so profound. But we'd been playing the Whiskey. We'd kind of taken it over our bands, you know, our punk bands. And he came to see us, and people said, well, you did Soul Kitchen, and that's why he wanted to work with you. And it wasn't for that reason at all.
And the first studio album, Los Angeles, how did you guys come up with that title track? I know it's kind of like the seedy side of L.A. and not the glam and glitter of Los Angeles. How did you guys come up with the background for that song?
We had been... there was an East Coast press, there was a West Coast press, there was an English press, and the rest was kind of empty space. There was, of course, Austin, Minneapolis, Chicago, all these places had scenes, Boston Rocker magazine was great. But what happened was, on the East Coast and in England especially, there were some people who thought that we were pretenders, that the only bands that came out of Southern California were the Knack and bands like that, and that because the weather's nice here, we had no problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had a sense of humor, we weren't desperate enough. Like the East Coast bands, you know, they're all dressed in black and were very dour, and we were always like setting people on fire with, you know, doing cigarette loads, you know, getting drunk and falling down the stairs and then playing a show, stuff like that. We were kids and we were messed up and funny. Anyway, they said Los Angeles was not a place where punk bands could come from, and we probably sat around our swimming pools writing songs. So we decided to redefine what it meant to be from Los Angeles so that it wouldn't be that anymore, that it wasn't, you know, some kind of cocaine limousine place, you know?
Right.
So we said, no, this is Los Angeles.
And then the band's second album, Wild Gift, hit the streets in May of 1981. What's the inspiration behind the great tune White Girl?
Oh.
I love that tune.
That's a good tune. Well, it's about infidelity or desiring to be with two people at the same time, or however you want to put that. People say that in different ways. Some people just say it's the joy of multiple partners. I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's about, like, she's a white girl, but I'm living with a white girl, meaning the white girl means, back then, like, I was really white skinned. I am still, you know, I'm real pale. I'm not a sun girl. And there were, like, California girls with tans. And then there were these beautiful punk girls with this white skin and this black hair and red lips or whatever, you know? And so that's the white girl. It's just this girl that's, like, you know, not a sun girl, not a Barbie.
And the second to the last song on side A of the original vinyl was a tune called I'm Coming Over. What's the background on Coming Over?
That's my first song I ever wrote.
Perfect. Tell me about it.
I wrote it before I met John. Well, I was living in my little apartment in Venice, and I wrote that song. I mean, I just sang it and wrote it and play. You know, I didn't play it because I didn't have an instrument, and so I sang it for him, just the way it is, and he wanted to do it in his band, which didn't have a name. It was just him and Billy. And I said, no. I'm not taking my song. I'll never see you again. I don't know you.
I love it.
We're best friends all of a sudden, but I don't know you.
Right.
So, anyway, so he said, sure, yeah, let's try it out together. Maybe we can do something good. And so, yeah, that was my first song I ever wrote.
The interesting tune that you guys recorded called Adult Books. I can only imagine what the background on that song is.
Well, I think John, you know, that's pretty much a John song. He, you know, I mean, in the 60s and 70s, strip clubs and adult books, you know, I mean, it wasn't like now, you know, like with Hustler or something, Hustler Casino and Hooters. It was dark and sleazy, and it was kind of, you know, and it was also when Jackie Suzanne was considered a really, you know, that was really racy, you know.
And the band switched over to Elektra Records in 1982 with the new album Under the Big Black Sun, probably one of my personal favorite albums from your music catalog. And I love the tune Blue Spark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good story. Well, John lived in Venice also. And he lived right by the Santa Monica Pier, which you couldn't live there now without $1 million, but back then it was just a sleazy area.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived in this really rundown building because they were going to tear it down. Anyway, so it was just awful in there. Anyway, he used to walk down to the pier, and it was before it was modernized, and nobody would ever go there at night. But there were these bumper cars, and when the metal bar that goes vertically up to the ceiling for the energy to make it go would spark, it's a blue spark.
Interesting.
And one night he was on the pier, and he was, I believe it had to do with his feelings for me, pretty much. And he wrote that Blue Spark song because, she waits in a beach apartment. It's like we both had these beach apartments, and we had just kind of gotten together a little bit, so it was like we didn't know. So, yeah, it's a really romantic, beautiful song.
Yeah,
and that just goes to show you with great songwriting, it's about observing everything in the world and seeing that one thing out of the billions of pieces of information you're getting that makes total sense with the way you're feeling and is a perfect metaphor for everyone to understand. And that's good writing right there. That's a good song.
Yeah, I think it's truly a God-given gift when somebody can write songs because not everybody can.
Of course not. Not everybody can act. Not everybody can take pictures. Just because you got a camera don't mean you can take pictures.
Right. And the opening track, the Hungry Wolf off of the Under the Big Black Sun album, really actually said to me when I was listening to that track, now I know I'm listening to the band X. Like I knew at that point when that album was released, you guys absolutely had your own definitive sound. What's the background on the Hungry Wolf?
It's about community. It's about people staying together, keeping together. It was about the punk scene. It was about us and our friends and about, living together for life and being committed that if I get a phone call tomorrow in 2012 from somebody from the Gears or somebody from, any band from that era or any of the people from that era saying, hey, we need to benefit so-and-so sick, man, then you go. You play and, it's that commitment to that group of people.
The band released another great album in September of 1983 that was recorded at Cherokee Studios in Los Angeles, titled More Fun in the New World. How was that album all put together? It kind of sounds like a different title from the rest of the albums that you guys did. What was the background on that?
I don't know. I mean, titles are, I'm usually really good with titles for things, but and I try to be. I work hard to do that because I think it's important. But sometimes they're misleading or they're silly or it's just the mood you were in at the time. Like the Replacements record, Tim. Mm-hmm. Like somebody probably was bugging them. What are you going to call the record? What are you going to call the record? They finally just went, Tim. Or Fido. Just go away, leave us alone. Who knows, but I'm just saying, knowing them a little. But I don't know. I mean, that record has some political stuff. I wrote a lot of I wrote New World and I Must Not Think Bad Thought lyrics. I think those are both on that record, aren't they?
Yeah.
And, was more in that kind of state of mind by then with I had been working with a lot of groups from El Salvador. The Reagan administration, or whatever that cabal is, had put a bunch of sanctions and embargoes and stuff on El Salvador, and they couldn't get any medicine. And there was this group called Medical Aid for El Salvador, and they were kind of considered a terrorist group at the time. They would be a terrorist group now because they were defying the embargo and bringing aspirin and bandages and stuff like that down to the people there who were suffering, children and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I worked for them and played benefits and worked on the phones and stuff. And we just, it was just really hard not to get really politically, I think the word is political, socially and consciously moved by what was going on, by what our tax dollars were buying. Now, I mean, it makes that look like, nothing compared to what we're dealing with today. But, so there was a lot of consciousness things there. Also, we had started to kind of get more, I don't know, different sounds were coming out, rootsier, countryer, bluesier. We're kind of doing a more American, less punky. I don't know, we've almost been all over the map.
And how did you guys pick the tune Wild Thing to record?
I was singing that for fun. John and I had split up, and I was just being really wild and stuff. And I said, let's record Wild Thing, and everybody went, all right. But then the record company at that point, Elektra, had kind of started to lose, like the people that had signed us were gone. You know what I mean? This is what happens when you sign a record label, everybody. Somebody believes in you like nobody's business. They want to help you. They've got a plan. Everything's all laid out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. This is this much money. We're going to do this. And they sign you, and a week later, they're gone. And someone inherits you and goes, who is this band? Why am I stuck with this terrible band? And that's your career. And that's what happens to bands constantly. So what happened to us was I think Elektra just kind of was like, well, they're a great little arty punk band that never sells any records, hardly, like 100,000. But, let's make them do something a little more, something different. This isn't working for us. So we recorded Wild Thing, and they took it, Elektra took it, a 12-inch of it, in a white cover with no label, to radio stations and played it for programmers and said, what do you want? Do you want to do this, play this record? They were like, who is this? This is fantastic. They went, that's X. They went, oh, we can't play them.
Really?
Yeah. And then they went to the next radio station. Oh, we can't play them. Oh, this is great. Who is it, Joan Jett? No, it's Exene from X. Oh, she's terrible. We can't play that.
Wow.
So it didn't work. But in the meantime, we had recorded this record with Michael Wagner, who's a wonderful person. Mm-hmm. But it got really heavy metal, way more than anybody really kind of thought it would go. But when they mixed it, it was kind of like, oh God, we're sunk. And we lost control at that point a little bit. And I'm not blaming anyone; it's us. We made the decision to go. Yeah, okay, let's do that. But we didn't. People didn't have a lot of options then.
Right.
Everything was confusing. I think right now is a better time in history for music, and I'm really hopeful that all the young people that I'm seeing playing music now are really going to do some great things and change things and shake things up.
And the tune, 4th of July, did Dave Allen write that tune?
Dave Alvin with a V, yes, Dave Alvin, great American songwriter, Grammy winner.
Okay, yeah, that's a great song. I love 4th of July. I play it every 4th of July.
It's a great song.
Now, Exene, what are you guys working on today? What are you personally working on your personal projects?
Okay, oh my goodness, you got a long time list here.
Go for it, man.
But I'm just going to give people the thing they want to hear most. Billy Zoom and I are writing songs together right now, and I'm writing the words, of course, and he's writing the music, and I can't think of a better combination. And we've got like 3 songs we're working on, and we're in the process of seeing where it's going to go, and hopefully get some time and record them and do some X songs, some new X songs. That's my big news. And the other thing is that in June or July, there's going to be a box set of X vinyl. All the vinyls are going to be reissued, box set. So hopefully we'll have some new songs and the old vinyl boxed up and ready to go, so people don't have to just buy the same thing over and over all the time. I'm really excited about. I love Billy so much as a musician. I mean, he's just so fantastic, and I never wrote songs with him before, so we both just sat down. Well, we've never done this before. Let's try it. So
very cool.
Pretty cool. And I'm producing. I'm just about ready to mix a band from Oklahoma City that I'm producing. That's 2 girls, 16 and 11 years old.
Wow.
And they're called Skating, like skateboarding, Skating Polly. And they write the best songs in the world. They're brilliant, smart, funny, wonderful people, and I can't believe they're so young. So I went and recorded them, and I love them. And so I'm getting ready to mix that with Black Dahlia. You know who Black Dahlia is from the Dwarves?
Yes.
He's going to mix it, so it's going to sound awesome.
Oh, very cool.
And, so that's my big love project right now. I'm in love with that record. And, just a million things I've been playing. I've been singing every night this week. I've been playing 2 shows a night and stuff, playing with this band Petunia and the Vipers from Canada. Please find out about this band. They're unbelievable.
Very cool. Where can we find out information on them and you?
They're on, I know people have websites. I just type in Petunia and the Vipers and see what comes up.
Okay.
There'll be plenty of stuff on YouTube or whatever, but they blow people away. I put on a show with them down here, and they got a standing ovation and an encore, and there were people that were crying, and people bought all these records and CDs, and we're like, oh my gosh, when are you guys coming back? But they come down from Canada to Southern California a couple times a year, and everybody just loves them so much. So, if you can, I would check them out. That's a big recommendation to me, is that, because I don't like anything, you know what I mean? I don't like anything new. So it's, but they're like, they play songs that sound like they're from 100 years ago, but they're not. That's what's so great about them.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. That's very cool. Well, thank you, Miss Exene Cervenka, for being a part of the 80s experience tonight.
That's
I appreciate
great.
it.
No, the 80s is an interesting time as far as music and culture, and it kind of ended in about 84, just like 1984, and now it's coming back. So it's a good time to listen to that music again.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, bye.